For the Republicans these days, Donald Trump is the kingmaker. But how does he rule? Pretty much exactly like you would think. In Ohio, they have this open Senate seat, and there are at least 4 different Republicans considered semi-serious that would like to be the nominee. So they need Trump's approval. So he effectively just has like an off the books version of Apprentice, where he has them duke it out and argue over who will be most loyal to him. The contenders in this particular case, although we're gonna see this repeated for many different states over the next couple of years, you have former state treasurer Josh Mandel, former state GOP chair James Timkin, technology company executive Bernie Moreno, and investment banker Mike Gibbons. They flew down to attend a fundraiser to benefit a Trump-endorsed Ohio candidate looking to oust one of the 10 House Republicans who backed his impeachment. So he's there helping a House candidate, and they're going so that they can then be the Senate candidate eventually, down in Mar-a-Lago. What ensued was a 10-minute backroom backbiting session, lots of backs, reminiscent of Trump's reality TV show. Mandel said he was crushing Timkin in polling. Timkin touted her support on the ground thanks to her time as state party chair. Gibbons mentioned how he'd helped Trump's campaign financially. Moreno noted that his daughter had worked on Trump's 2020 campaign. And you might think, like, especially for that last one, what does that have to do with anything? Well, have you met Donald Trump? What do you think they were saying in that room? And look, we have an ad we can show you, and we can certainly speculate, but this is, I think we should all acknowledge, well, maybe we like the chaos on the right, I don't know. This is a really sad state for a major party to be in, where these are the sorts of things you need to do to get his nod, which could make or break your campaign.
Yeah, but John, as with everything with Trump, it's not that he started a lot of these problems. It's just that he's so much more brazen about it. In the issue of racism, the Republican Party ran the Southern strategy. That was the whole point of that, was to be racist, and that's not like some sort of hyperbole. That was literally the strategy. Let's go get racist voters in the South by being against civil rights. So when Trump just started saying racist things instead of using the dog whistle, people were shocked and chagrined. Why? Because he put an ugly face on an ugly policy? No, that's actually in a sense more honest, right? So same thing here. Corruption is totally systemic. Corporate Republicans do, corporate Democrats do it. So you have to have a check to get seen by a national politician, federal level politician. And if you pay them enough, they'll do whatever you want. So Trump is just taking the hood off, and he's taking the, all the pretense off here. So he just gets them in a room and goes, okay, what did you do for me? Based on whoever is gonna help me more, I'll probably make the decision based on that, or almost certainly. So, I mean, look at the thing that John just read you. And there's more too. Mandel was like, oh no, I was the first one to endorse you in 2016. So since I was your first asker, so you should pick me. And then Timkin comes in and says, no, but you appointed me at some point. And then Trump says, wait a minute, but you didn't say the guy I want fired, who's in the Republican Party, should be fired for supporting my impeachment. She said, no, I cleaned that up. Like, forget factual correctness, forget ideology. I am now politically correct. Don't worry. Yes, sir, dear leaders, sir, fascist leaders, sir. I am now politically correct. I have cleaned up my earlier principled position. And then look at the other two, like family members. Yeah, well, what do you need? You need a deal. You need a favor. No problem. And the other guy's just flat out like, I bribed you. Remember, I'm the guy who bribed you the most. I gave you the most money, so you should give it to me. He'll probably win. And by the way, like I said, that is American politics. It's almost all of American politics. They're just not as brazen about it.
Well, and Cenk, your point about ugliness is terrific, because it reminds me of the ugliness that we saw in the White House, where there's Donald Trump. He enjoyed pitting aides against each other and having the fights in front of him. He enjoys when people are arguing in front of him and tearing each other, and he can just sort of sit back and enjoy it. And clearly that was what was going on in Florida. And I just am struck by how humiliating it is to the people who are involved, who may be serious about running for Senate or serious about policy, and to have to put up with this. If that's the ticket these days, the ticket to entry in Republican politics, I think they're going to chase away. I think this should be this should be celebrated, I think, among progressives and those of us on the left, because it's going to chase away talent on the right and conservative talent, and there is some of it out there. It's going to chase them away because nobody with any self-respect wants to go through this malarkey. And so great, I think Donald Trump should have a powwow for every open race, every group of candidates. He should be the kingmaker. Great.
Yeah, Yeah, go ahead, John. I want
to make sure that we get to this ad. You might recall Ron DeSantis ran some of the most cringy political ads I think ever about how he's going, like all of his young kids' education growing up is going to be about how the kids should try to be like Trump and all that. Well, there's going to be some competition in terms of how cringy these ads can become. I want to show you one from one of the four who was in that room, Jane Timkin. Here is an ad trying to make the case for her.
I'm running for the United States Senate to stand up for you. Just like when I stood next to President Trump and supported his America First agenda. As Ohio Republican Party chairman, I cleaned house of the Kasich establishment who tried to elect Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. I unified the party and delivered a second decisive Ohio win for President Trump. As your senator, I will advance the Trump agenda without fear or hesitation.
Yeah, but before you get to advancing the Trump agenda, could you define it? Could you like mention anything? Because you said that like you're gonna stand next to people, you're gonna stand next to them and talk about a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with any policies whatsoever. I have no idea what she stands for, what differences, if any, exist between her and Mandel or any of these other candidates. But I think that ad is going to be like the prototype for virtually every candidate over the next 4 years. It is just, I'm the most loyal to Trump. There's not going to be any acknowledgement of any economic problems you have. And remember, the right only supports Trump because of economic anxiety. But they're certainly not going to advertise to try to appeal to that. It's just the loyalty.
No, they're becoming parodies now. I didn't just kiss his ring, I kissed his ass. And that's the ad. Eventually the ads are gonna break down to, I bribed Trump even more. While my opponent was giving him $100,000, I gave him $200,000. And everyone's like, yeah, he bribed Trump more. Oh, we love that guy. Drain the swamp. Wait, what? Okay, so that's where we are right now. And 2 more points. I think David made a great point. I think there's like this could do long-term damage to the Republican Party because here's a bunch of betas coming in and basically sending subliminal message to the voters. We're pathetically weak. You can see us with your own eyes groveling to this guy. And so in order to be a Republican now, you have to be a pathetic groveler. And that's not such a bad thing for Democrats. I mean, a Democratic leadership for 40, 50 years in this country sent subliminal message saying, we're pathetically weak. We will surrender to any Republican if they happen to walk by on any issue. They're better than us. And people believed them and generally voted Republican. Now the Republicans are turning around and saying, remember, every one of us is incredibly weak. The minute we see a fascist, we all can grovel on the ground. I'll smear my face on the ground. Trump. And that kind of weakness it's a turnoff in the long run for sure. But when you're in the room with him, though, you have to pretend to be tough. So Mandel talking about Timkin said, "Oh, I'm crushing her in the polls," and then this is so designed for Trump. Now here, I'll give you one more quote from the meeting. And by the way, they were in a circular table where they had to face each other. Soon it'll be an octagon. And Mandel
it's going to be that scene out of The Dark Knight. Trump is just going to break a pool cue and throw it on the ground.
Yeah. He's like, I was wondering what would break first, your spirit or your body, or your self-respect. Anyway, Mandel says, Mr. President, I only know 2 ways to do things, either not at all or balls to the wall. He said this, okay? I hired a bunch of killers on my team. I'm a killer, and we're gonna win the primary and then the general. They think like you appeal to Trump by being over the top, fake masculine. And he's like literally we're talking about Hunger Games, right? This is like Hunger Games. And he's literally saying, that woman over there, I will kill her. Now, I know that it's symbolic. I don't think he's gonna actually murder her. It's Republicans, you never know. But look, he is verbally, rhetorically saying, I will kill for you. And that's it, Republican Party 101 now.
And it's good for Democrats because it keeps the Civil War going. A bunch of Neanderthals firing shots at each other in the circular firing squad, whatever sort of analogy you want to use. And it's only agitating people who are involved in this process. And so I think great news for Democrats. At a certain point, I fear the Republican Party will make its decision about Donald Trump, yea or nay, and then they'll unify. But in the meantime, I think this is great.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.